All right, you guys, lots to cover today. So I'm trying to make this as entertaining as possible because I know talking about interest rates is not the most exciting thing, most glamorous thing about my job, but it's important information because it's going to help you as a buyer or a seller when it comes to buying and selling your home and what it could mean for you. And today I'm going to talk about the Fed rate cuts and what it means for you. So you've probably heard the news that the Fed cut their rates, but what does this actually mean and how does it impact you when it comes to buying, selling, or even refinancing a home? Well, I'm here to share all the nitty-gritty details of what you need to know. So, what actually means when the Fed cuts the rates, it's not actually what you might think. So, during September's meeting last week, the Federal Reserve reduced the federal fund rate by a half a percentage point or 50 basis points. This is the first rate drop by the Fed since 2020, which of course is welcome news for consumers, homeowners, and future buyers alike, but it does not mean mortgage rates have come down by half a percentage point. So the Fed rate is actually just the rate banks are used to lend to each other, not the rate they use to lend us money. So it's true that when the Fed rates go up and down, the rates offered to us consumers also goes up and down on everything from credit cards, car loans, and yes, even mortgages. But it's important to know that the Fed rate is not the same thing as the rate we pay for a mortgage. They're different animals. They look at the same criteria and information, but they can change at different times. So even though that the Fed cut its rate by 50 basis points, that doesn't mean mortgage rates go down by the same amount right after this decision. So what does it mean for mortgage rates? So just like the stock market, so just like the stock market, mortgage rates can go up and down every day, even if the Fed rate remains the same. That's why even though the Fed hasn't dropped their interest rates since 2020, interest rates on mortgages have still been moving up and down this entire time. In fact, mortgage lenders already planned on the Fed cutting their interest rates, so mortgage rates started dropping months ago, then dropped even further the week prior to their decision. You've also heard me talk about this a lot if you've been following along with me with my monthly market update videos. Mortgage rates have been trending downwards these last few months. I've also been talking about the factors that impact your mortgage rate and that you end up with. There are so many factors that impact your mortgage rate. And yes, the Federal Reserve's rate does have an impact, but so does everything from what type of home you're buying, where it's located, how much you're putting down, the total loan amount you're financing, the loan term length, so like 30-year, 15-year, the type of loan you're getting, such as conventional, jumbo, FHA, VA, USDA, you get the point, as well as your credit score and so many other factors. So if you're thinking about buying a home or refinancing your current mortgage rate, make sure to be in touch with me because I'm always comparing lenders and seeing what rates are going on and if I can connect you with the local lenders that have some of the lowest rates that I've seen. So what do these rates mean for you? So the Fed's cutting their interest rates will spur buyers and sellers who have been sitting on the sidelines for the last few years into action. Again, this is what I've been talking about in my last market update video for August of 2024, where the floodgates are about to open up, you guys. It's just like during COVID, it was a lot of people either forget or don't know that when that happened, the floodgates were open and there were so many people out looking for houses and there wasn't a lot of inventory. So it was just a madhouse. So for buyers, if you've been thinking about buying a home, last week's rate cut may have gotten your attention. Rates are more favorable than they were last year by more than 1 percentage point. So what you pay per month for a home can go a lot further, which means you can look at home prices that you might not have been able to afford last year. So rates have been dropping for months and all indications point to this trend continuing. You might be thinking you should wait for rates to bottom out before you start looking for a home, but that's not necessarily the best plan. Again, lower rates mean the floodgates will start to open. More buyers will be out looking, which means more competition for the same home. This in turn increases prices. So the sooner you start looking, the less competition you may encounter. Plus, you can always refinance when rates bottom out after finding your perfect home. Your lender may also be able to float your rate while looking for the perfect home and lock it in when the time is right. So, sellers, if you've been wanting to sell your home, this could be a great time to do so. Sorry, my throat's getting gross. I often say that the fall market is not as good of a time to sell your home as the spring market because we see less motivated buyers this time of year. But I think this year we're going to be seeing different trends because on the heels of these Fed rate cuts and a continued downward trend in interest rates, I'm predicting we'll see a strong fall selling season with motivated buyers wanting to take advantage of lower rates after sitting on the sidelines for the last few years. They're ready. We're seeing more buyers entering the market and they are ready and hungry for a new home. Inventory is still pretty low, so we're seeing homes sell pretty well for sellers right now. And if you're wanting to sell your home, you've been feeling stuck because the home you want to buy has been out of your budget. Lower rates mean that you may be able to finally sell your home and afford the one you've been hoping for. Now, homeowners, if you're wondering whether you should refinance, I would say to hold off for now. All signs are pointing to rates continuing to lower over the next few months. Of course, I can't tell the future, but if it were me, I'd wait for the rates to lower even more before spending time and money to refinance. Remember, even the lenders who say there's no cost to refinance are getting paid for their time and effort from you somehow. This may roll into slightly higher interest rate on your loan amount, but there's always a cost to refinancing. You want to make sure what you pay for the refinance is worth the investment. Plus, in recent years, many loan programs were created to allow a one-time rate reduction refinance to reduce your mortgage rate once they dropped. But again, rates are still trending downward, so I'd wait it out a while longer before using this option. So, especially if you have like an FHA loan or any type of loan that has like a silent second in the last few years that they offered for a first-time buyer program, it's very important to kind of keep this in mind. So, but whenever you do decide to refinance, I'm happy to recommend a lender to you. Review any proposals you might get from lenders and even do the math so you know when you'll break even from a refinance to make sure it's worth the cost. So as you can see, there is a lot to learn when it comes to mortgage rates. So much so that I've written a few articles about this topic that I'll link in this video. So number one, why the interest rate you see online is not the one you get. The lowdown on loans, what determines your mortgage rate? And then number three, how to get the very best interest rate for you. So I also have additional articles like how to overcome higher interest rates as a buyer. It also has some great information for you even though rates are coming down. Also be sure to check out my article, what to do now to buy it in the next year. So you're ready to buy when everyone else is just starting the process. So I told you, there's a lot to know. I hope this information is helpful for you, but I also know the best way I can help is to have a conversation with you about your particular situation. There is no one right way to buy or sell or refinance a home. There are tons of options, and although it's a great thing, it can be a bit overwhelming. I don't want you to make a mistake or not know about an option that may actually be the right one for you. I'm always saying you don't know what you don't know. That's why I'm always encouraging my friends, family, and clients to reach out to me long before you're actually ready to make whatever move you're thinking about making. You can contact me anytime for no obligation, no pressure conversation. You can also visit my online calendar at your leisure to pick a date and time that works for your schedule. I'll link it with this video as well. And just because you reach out to me to have a conversation does not mean we are required to work together. I know a lot of you are very hesitant to reach out to a realtor right now, especially with all the changes resulting from the NAR settlement, and the way buyers agents commissions are paid, and requirement for buyer representation agreement. There's a lot of changes going on. So I know a lot of people are just hesitant to even talk to a realtor. But just think of this as like a first conversation or like a consultation or interview where you're going to get to know me and how I operate as a real estate agent just as much as I'm trying to get to know you and figure out the best way I can help you reach your goals. From there, we can both decide if we're working together is the best option for you and kind of like your timeline and what you want to do. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you and learning how I can help create the best scenario for you. Until then, be sure to follow along with me for more content just like this. Take care, my friends, and remember, the early bird gets the home.